My daughter baked cookies for everyone at Christmas. No one touched them. My mom said they looked store-bought. We just left. The next morning, my credit card they had access to was blocked. My daughter spent 2 days baking cookies for people who never really saw her as family. She printed recipes, made tiny name tags for each person, and even practiced how she'd present them. She's 11. And all she wanted was to be part of something we were never really welcomed into. Christmas at my parents' house has always been a performance. My sister gets the spotlight, her boys run wild while everyone smiles like it's charming, and my dad carves the turkey like he's auditioning for a Norman Rockwell painting. Lila and I sit at the edge of it all, like guests who weren't supposed to show up. This year, Lila wanted to bring something of her own. Her cookies. 6 kinds. Every one of them perfect. We walked into their house with our little box and a side dish. My mom barely looked up. My dad was in the garage showing off a new drill. Stephanie waved from the couch. No one offered to help. No one even said hi to Lila. She set the box down near the other food. Her tags were still attached. Little loops of ribbon with names like Grandpa and Aunt Steph written in glitter pen. An hour passed. Then the box stayed untouched. Finally, my mom walked past it, looked inside and said it. These look store-bought. She didn't even look at Lila when she said it. Just moved on, laughing about something Stephanie said. No one touched a single cookie. We left before dessert. I didn't make a scene. I helped Lila grab our coats, kissed her on the forehead and told her we'd stop for ice cream on the way home. The only thing I said on the way out was, "Merry Christmas." She didn't cry until we got home. And the next morning my credit card was blocked. I hadn't used it since last week. But I forgot it was still linked to an old Amazon account. One I used years ago when I lived with Brad and sent gifts to my parents' house. Someone had bought over $300 worth of random garbage. Toys. Kitchen gadgets. A sweater in a size I've never worn. I stared at the screen while Lila made tea in the kitchen, her eyes still puffy. They stole from me. After everything. After mocking my kid and ignoring her effort. They used my name to do it. I didn't call them. But I was done playing family. I didn't say anything that morning. Not to Lila, not to the bank, not even to Stephanie. I disputed the charges quietly, locked the account and let the refund process begin. But I didn't cancel the card right away. I wanted to see how far they'd go. A few days later, a package showed up at my old address. My parents' house. Amazon's notification system never fails. It was a waffle maker and some overpriced body lotion. I let it ship. I waited. And I let them believe I hadn't noticed. Meanwhile, I started collecting every little thread I could pull. I logged into the Amazon account and checked the order history. They weren't even careful. Orders were placed in the middle of Christmas dinner. 2 of the items had "gift for mom" written in the notes. Another was a board game Stephanie had been talking about at the table. They thought I was still that girl from 5 years ago. The one who apologized every time Brad disappeared for a weekend, who said thank you when they threw backhanded compliments, who sat through their smug silences and let them act like raising Lila without a father was something I should be ashamed of. They forgot who I am now. I run digital marketing campaigns for a cybersecurity firm. And I document everything. Every order, every timestamp, every shared login. I printed it all. Screenshots. Delivery notifications. The saved browser history from when I briefly borrowed Stephanie's laptop at Thanksgiving. It was all there. Then I waited. The first call came from my mom 4 days later. She was confused because her Amazon orders weren't arriving anymore. Then Stephanie texted asking if I'd accidentally logged out of the shared Prime. That was rich. I didn't respond. New Year's passed. I didn't reach out. I didn't thank them for the earrings they never sent. I didn't ask if they wanted to reschedule Christmas brunch. And then something beautiful happened. They showed up at my house. Lila was at school. I opened the door to find my mom and dad standing there like they were bringing me bad news from a neighbor's house. My dad asked if they could come in. I let them sit in the living room. My mom didn't waste time. She said they felt hurt that I'd left Christmas so suddenly. That I misunderstood the cookie comment. That they had no idea the credit card was still active. She called it a simple mistake. I didn't say a word for a full minute. Then I brought out the folder. Paperwork, screenshots, everything. I placed it on the coffee table and let them look. My mom reached for it like it might bite her. I told them it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was theft. It was contempt. And it was 11 years of little slights and subtle digs and pretending like Lila wasn't just as much their grandchild as Stephanie's boys. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I just told the truth. My dad said I was being a little harsh. I smiled. Told him I hadn't even started. I let my dad's comment hang in the air like it deserved a response. It didn't. They expected me to argue. To defend myself. To crack a little and maybe apologize for the tone. That's how these things usually go. I flipped the folder closed and said I wanted to show them something else. I opened my laptop and pulled up a spreadsheet. This part wasn't for revenge. It was just something I'd been keeping for myself. I opened my laptop and pulled up a spreadsheet. This part wasn't for revenge. It was just something I'd been keeping for myself. Every gift I'd bought for them and their kids over the past 10 years. Every trip I helped pay for. Every emergency call Stephanie made when her furnace broke and she needed $600 for repairs, until Friday. Every time I paid for Christmas dinner when my mom forgot her wallet. It was all there. I wasn't being petty. I was being accurate. The number at the bottom was over $11,000. My mom looked like she'd swallowed a pin. My dad tried to act like he didn't care. Said money shouldn't be counted in families. That's when I leaned in. I told them Lila and I weren't part of this family. Not really. We were convenient. Something to tolerate when the other chairs were full. They never defended us. Never lifted her up. Never made room for her. I told them I'd never ask for a cent back. But I was done pretending we owed them anything. My mom asked if I was seriously going to cut them off over a few cookies. I didn't answer. I just pointed at the calendar on the wall. Valentine's Day was coming. Every year Lila makes cards for the family. I told them there wouldn't be any this year. And probably not next year either. They started to get up. My mom said they'd give me space. My dad muttered something about not letting this tear everyone apart. Before they reached the door, I told them they'd need to call Amazon themselves to figure out the account situation. Because I'd changed every password. And deleted the backup card. Then I told them something that shut the whole show down. I said Lila heard everything. On Christmas. The cookie comment. The laughter. The silence when we left. She knew exactly how they felt. She knew they hadn't eaten a single one. And still she asked me that morning if she could try again next year. Just to give them one more chance. My mom's face cracked just a little. I told them I said no. It took 2 weeks before my sister called. Not a text. Not an email. A full-on phone call which told me something was up before I even answered. She started with her usual tone, half warm, half superior. Said she'd heard from mom and dad that things got blown out of proportion, and that I was obviously going through a rough time. I let her talk. She tried to sprinkle in empathy, but I could hear the edge. She was irritated that I hadn't come crawling back yet. Then she said something that made me sit down. She told me mom had cried. That she felt completely misunderstood and heartbroken over Lila's reaction. That dad felt disrespected. And that if I wanted to come over with Lila next Sunday, they'd all be there to talk it through. Like it was some family summit. I said I'd think about it. She was surprised I didn't say no. Sunday morning I told Lila we were going out. I didn't tell her where until we pulled up to the house. She didn't say anything, just stared at the front door for a long time. Inside it was the same setup as always. My dad in his recliner. My mom pretending to read something. Stephanie arranging snacks like she'd planned a peace treaty. They all looked uncomfortable. No one said hi right away. Lila stayed behind me. Then my mom stood and opened her arms like she was about to deliver some performance-level apology. But I cut her off. I said we weren't here for forgiveness. I told them I wanted them to understand that Lila and I weren't ornaments they could dust off for holidays. That their attitude for the past decade wasn't subtle. And that Lila, even at 11, could feel it every time they looked past her or ignored something she did. Stephanie tried to interject, but I kept going. I laid out everything. How they treated Brad like the wounded party after the divorce. How I was constantly reminded that I'd changed. How Lila was always treated like a visitor in their lives. Then I told them exactly what would change. No more shared holidays unless they were mutual. No more last-minute invitations. No more favors. No more forgotten birthdays. Lila and I would build our own traditions and they could either be part of that or not. But they'd do it on our terms. Stephanie asked if I was punishing them. I told her no. I said I was educating them. Because clearly, none of them had learned how a real family works. And then I said one last thing just for Lila. I told them they still owed her an apology, and not the kind adults give when they're just trying to smooth things over. A real one. Because if an 11-year-old can spend 2 days making something thoughtful for people who treat her like a mistake, then the very least they can do is sit with their shame long enough to realize they earned it. Lila stood up straight behind me, and for the first time in years no one had anything to say. We didn't stay for the snacks. I wasn't there to pretend things were fine, and Lila clearly wasn't interested in watching my parents try to act like anything about this was normal. We were about to leave when my mom finally spoke. She didn't look at me. She looked at Lila. He said she was sorry. That she didn't mean the cookie comment the way it came out. That the cookies looked perfect and she didn't know why she didn't just say that. That she should have eaten one. Lila stood there like she didn't trust what she was hearing. Not angry. Just unsure. Like part of her wanted to believe it and the other part didn't want to be tricked into expecting too much. Then my dad followed. He said they hadn't realized how bad it had gotten. That maybe they treated us a little cold because of how the divorce went, and they were sorry for holding on to old things. He said he was proud of me. That part hit differently. Not because I needed it, but because it was the first time he'd said anything like that to me without it sounding like a consolation prize. Stephanie didn't say much. She watched, arms crossed. I knew her too well to expect anything real from her yet. But I saw her face change when Lila quietly asked if she could go wait in the car. That was when she finally said something. She asked Lila if she'd bring cookies again next year. And Lila, who hadn't said a word to anyone since we arrived, just said, maybe. That night we didn't talk much about it. I didn't ask her how she felt. I just made tea and we watched some baking show on Netflix like it was any other evening. But I could tell something had shifted. 2 weeks later a package showed up at our door. There was no card. No note. Just a box filled with baking supplies, high-end ones. Steel cookie cutters, silicone molds, piping tools, natural food coloring, edible gold flakes, even a stand mixer attachment I'd once mentioned offhand in front of Stephanie years ago. It was all new. Carefully packed. Thoughtfully chosen. I checked the label. The return address was the name of a local baking shop near my parents' neighborhood. Paid in cash. They didn't want credit. They didn't want praise. They just sent it. I still didn't call. 3 days later my mom did. She asked if she could come by, alone, just to drop off a recipe she thought Lila might like. She said she wouldn't stay long. Wouldn't come inside if we didn't want her to. I told her she could come by next Sunday. Not because she earned it. Not because we forgave them. Because I believe people can choose to do better. But they don't get shortcuts. That weekend Lila was already in the kitchen testing out her new supplies. She didn't say much when I told her grandma was stopping by. She just nodded and kept decorating her little pistachio shortbreads. Then she said something that stuck with me. They're probably sorry now. But they weren't sorry when it mattered. I told her she was right. Then she shrugged like an adult who had already figured out something it took me 30 years to learn. Then we don't bake for them. We bake for us. She went back to her cookies. My mom came on Sunday. Alone like she said she would. No casserole dish in hand, no bags of food, no overdone dramatics. Just a worn recipe card and a box of candied orange slices. She stood on the porch until I invited her in. Lila stayed in the kitchen, carefully lining cookies on a tray. She didn't look up. My mom glanced around, clearly uncomfortable. She set the card on the counter and said she remembered making those cookies with her own mother. Then she asked if Lila wanted to try them sometime. Lila said she'd think about it. It was quiet for a minute. Then my mom asked if we were really cutting the family off. I told her no. I said we weren't cutting anyone off. We were just done waiting for them to treat us right. From now on the invitations would go both ways. So would the effort. They could be in our lives but not above it. No more acting like they were doing us favors by tolerating our presence. No more being treated like we were leftovers from my past with Brad. She asked if we were still angry. I said we weren't angry anymore. That part was over. We were just awake now. She looked down at her hands, then said something I didn't expect. She admitted that she never liked Brad. That she thought I'd made a mess by being with him, and she let that bleed into how she treated Lila. That it wasn't fair. And that she wasn't asking to be forgiven right away. He just wanted a chance to do better. That was the most honest thing she'd said in years. I told her we weren't interested in being anyone's second chance project. If she wanted to be in Lila's life, she'd show up for real. Not for holidays. Not for guilt. For her. She nodded. When she left, she didn't hug me. She didn't ask to take anything home. She just said thank you. Later that night, Lila asked me if this meant things were better now. I said no. I said it meant the rules were different now. The next few months were quiet. No forced visits. No awkward dinners. But slowly things started shifting. My dad came by with an old tool set he said Lila might use for cookie presses. Stephanie sent a birthday card that didn't have any backhanded jokes in it. My mom called just to ask about Lila's science fair project. No financial help. No grand gestures. And that was fine. Lila didn't expect them to become perfect. She just wanted them to stop pretending she didn't exist unless she was useful. One night we were icing lemon cookies and she looked at me and asked if this was what a real family felt like. I told her no. This was better. Because this family, we built it ourselves. And no one gets to take credit for that but her. The update. We were settling into the new rhythm. No more cold shoulders, no more pretending. It wasn't perfect but it was honest. That alone was a relief. Then in early April something strange happened. Lila got a letter. Not a card, not a text. A real letter addressed to her in handwriting I didn't recognize. She opened it while I was cleaning up dinner. It was from Stephanie's oldest son, Brady. 16. The one who once poured soda on Lila's drawing at Thanksgiving and said it was an accident. The one who barely acknowledged her existence unless it was to make fun of something she was wearing. Inside the envelope was a simple note and a hand-drawn flyer. He was starting a small community project at school. Something for volunteer credit, building care packages for local shelters. And he asked if Lila wanted to help with the baked goods. He'd even written that he remembered her cookies from Christmas, which again no one ate, and thought she'd be really good at it. No sarcasm. No jokes. Just respectful. Like he saw her. She didn't say anything right away. Just read it twice. Then handed it to me without a word. We stared at each other for a moment, both trying to decide if this was real or just another test. She asked if she should do it. I told her I wasn't going to decide for her. The next morning she told me she'd help, on one condition. She wanted Brady to come over and bake with her first. Not just dump work on her. She wanted to see if he actually respected her or was just pretending for school credit. I messaged Stephanie to tell her. She didn't say much, just, he'll be there Sunday. And he was. He showed up with a bag of flour, 2 boxes of brownie mix, and a nervous look I'd never seen on his face before. Lila opened the door, nodded, and led him to the kitchen without a word. They baked for 2 hours. I stayed out of it. When he left, he thanked her. Quiet, no eye contact. But he meant it. That night, she told me something that caught me off guard. He used to be awful. But I think he's trying to be someone else now. I asked if she forgave him. He shrugged. I don't have to. He can still fix things anyway. The project turned out to be real. Lila ended up baking 120 cookies. He included her name on the flyer. Gave her full credit. At the school event, she even got a certificate from the principal. For the first time in her life, someone from that side of the family treated her like she wasn't a mistake. Not because we demanded it, but because she earned her place and they finally saw it. And I realized something that night watching her tape the certificate to her wall. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people grow into the respect you always deserved. And sometimes it doesn't even feel like revenge at all.